Hello, friends, and welcome to Coached by Tara, the podcast where Tara
Hi, that's me.
coaches me, hi, I'm Mike, on books. I'm just going to say books. Let's just say books, because, like, what else are you going to coach me on, you know?
Mean Girls.
Oh, maybe Mean Girls someday, but right now,
I feel like that's just like a watch-along thing.
Yeah, maybe we do that. Anyway, right now we're doing the Twilight book series by
Yes.
Stephanie Meyer, starting with the first book.
Mm-hmm.
We just finished chapter 17,
Yes.
called The Ball Game?
No, the game.
The Game, that's right, The Game. It's been a while.
The game.
I had some of you on the Discord saying, oh, we have to wait another week for this cliffhanger. I had to wait like 3 weeks.
It's
Okay.
true. It's true because we recorded these in advance.
I had to wait
so
like 3 weeks to figure out what's going to happen.
It's been a long
in
time
chapter
since we
18.
recorded. Before Christmas. No.
No.
Right after Christmas.
Right after Christmas.
Before New Year's.
Yes.
It's now the 17th.
Yes, and it's the 18th chapter. But before we get to the 18th chapter, let me recap the 17th chapter called The Game. Billy and Jacob are there, and she kind of starts making herself some lasagna or something. And Billy like sends Jacob on a meaningless task to get him away, and he kind of questions her about the colons, her hanging around the colons.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, it's my business, and kind of reveals to him that she knows that they're vampires and that she doesn't care.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, well, would Charlie care? And she's like, well, again, that's my business to tell Charlie or not. And he goes, yeah, I guess you're right, but don't do what you're doing, Bella, is basically what he said. So they leave.
Jessica calls.
You know, and she's Mike kissed her at the dance, and she's like, oh my God. And then Charlie gets home, so she's like, hey, I gotta go, Jessica. I don't really fucking care about your life. Like, honestly, it's so
Freaking mundane compared to mine.
mundane compared to my life, where I'm literally dating a vampire and his vampire family. So I got a baseball game to catch. So Charlie gets home, and she tells him about Edward, that they're gonna go play baseball, and he's kind of like, isn't he a little old for you? But he was thinking of Emmett, who's the big boy.
He's a big
muscular guy. But she's like, Edward's the one in my grade, Dad. And he's like, fine. So then Edward comes in. They meet, and it goes well. You know, they make a joke about why would Bella even want to watch baseball? LOL. And then she's like, okay, time to go. So they get in this big truck that it's Emmett's, right?
Yep, it's Emmett's.
And they use it for mudding and stuff, off-roading. Anyway, that doesn't really matter. They get to the game, and they have a fight first.
They kind of had like a mini argument.
Which it seems so like...
It's like a typical couple argument,
I don't even know. It was like kind of like a toxic couple argument, in my opinion. But then it ends with Edward telling her that he loves her for the first time ever. Mm-hmm. And so she's like, oh, I forgot about the argument. He loves me, right? So then they get to the game. She sits with Esme, because Esme doesn't play. She likes to be the umpire. Mm-hmm. And
keep them honest.
Because they like to cheat. And
they like to cheat, yeah.
Yeah.
I like cheating.
Tara likes cheating. This is true. We find out that Esme tried to kill herself because she lost her kid when she was not a vampire, and then Carlisle rescued her.
Renee's gone.
By making her
Rosalie.
a vampire. So anyway, they're playing baseball. The reason they play during the storms is so when they hit the ball out of the fucking atmosphere and it makes this loud crack, it doesn't seem it seems just like thunder and lightning.
Yeah.
Edward goes flying into the woods to get this ball that she thinks is going to be a home run, but he catches it, so it's an out. Anyway, they're superhuman. As they're playing,
superhuman is the end all be all.
As they're playing,
Alice.
I was like, not Rosalie, Alice. It's been like 3 weeks, okay, guys. Alice suddenly is
I live and breathe by these names, so...
Alice is suddenly like, oh shit, and looks at Edward and communicates with him telepathically because Edward can read minds. And the people that they thought were in the area from a couple chapters ago have quickened their pace and diverted their route because they heard them playing baseball. And they're curious.
You predicted that right.
I did. I predicted that right.
And basically the last part of the chapter is, him being like, I'm sorry, Bella, it was stupid and irresponsible to expose you like this. I'm so sorry. And then they're just like bracing themselves to come.
So they're basically nervous that they're just going to eat Bella. They're going to want to eat Bella.
Is that your prediction?
I mean, why else would they be scared, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, if they were just playing baseball without Bella there, and those guys showed up,
fine,
they would be on guard, but it wouldn't be like like Esme started playing baseball and Edward switched, and he like put her hair up.
Put her hair down.
Or put her hair down, and Alice is like, that's not going to help. I can smell her from all the way over here, you know? And so they're basically going to know that she's not a vampire.
Yeah.
And so that's where we ended. That
is.
Cliffhanger of...
In the middle of the game.
The middle of the game. So, with that being said, what is the name of this next chapter, Tara?
Chapter 18, The Hunt.
Oh, no.
I know.
Oh, no. Are they going to hunt Bella?
Who knows?
Yikes. Anyway, Tara.
Yes.
Are you ready to protect me from a bunch of rabid, uncivilized vampires and teach me more about this next chapter? Coach me on it?
Yes.
All right, we'll be right back.
Michael?
Yes, Tara?
Are you ready to be coached?
I am so ready to be coached.
Okay, chapter 18, The Hunt.
Let's do it.
Okay, so it says, I don't know what parts to read because it's just gonna get so crazy. Basically, they emerge one by one from the forest edge, which they're like a dozen meters apart from each other. And so we're just going to read this because it describes who they are. The first male into the clearing fell back immediately, allowing the other male to take the front, orienting himself around the tall, dark-haired man in a manner that clearly displayed who led the pack. The third was a woman. From this distance, all I could see of her was that her hair was a startling shade of red. So there's three people total.
2 men and a woman.
People.
3 vampires.
Yes. They closed ranks before they continued cautiously toward Edward's family, exhibiting the natural respect of a troop of predators as it encounters a larger, unfamiliar group of its own kind. As they approached, I could see how different they were from the Cullens. Their walk was cat-like, a gait that seemed constantly on the edge of shifting into a crouch. They were dressed in the ordinary gear of backpackers, jeans and casual button-down shirts, and heavy, weatherproof fabrics. But the clothes were frayed, though, with wear, and they were barefoot. So they looked a little bit more...
They looked like hippies.
Yeah, I'd say they looked a little bit more nomadic and, wild, rather than,
Like, maybe they enjoy a PBR?
Maybe.
Maybe that's a thing they like?
Yeah. Both men had cropped hair, but the woman's brilliant orange hair was filled with leaves and debris from the woods, so she looked pretty wild. Their sharp eyes carefully took in the more polished, urbane stance of Carlisle, who, flanked by Emmett and Jasper, stepped guardedly forward to meet them. Without any seeming communication between them, they each straightened into a more casual, erect bearing. The man in front was easily the most beautiful, his skin olive-toned beneath the typical pallor, his hair a glossy black. He was a medium build, hard-muscled, of course, but nothing next to Edward's brawn. He smiled an easy smile, exposing a flash of gleaming white teeth. The woman was wilder, her eyes shifting restlessly between the men facing her and the loose grouping around me, her chaotic hair quivering in the slight breeze. Her posture was distinctly feline. The second male hovered unobtrusively between them, slighter than the leader, his light brown hair and regular features both nondescript. His eyes, though completely still, somehow seemed the most vigilant. Their eyes, though, were different too. Not the gold or black I had come to expect, but a deep burgundy color that was disturbing and sinister. The dark-haired man, still smiling, stepped toward Carlisle. Did you know that?
What?
So when they're...
About when they feed? I know that Edward's eyes would...
change from yellow to black.
Yellow to black when he wasn't fed.
However, when they feed on humans, their eyes are red.
Okay, I don't think it's taught us that yet.
So that's what it's telling you.
Right. I figured that's what it was.
Burgundy, like red, but it's actually like this color. that I'm wearing.
Tara's wearing a burgundy sweater.
I am. I thought we heard a game, he said in a relaxed voice with the slightest of French accents. I'm Laurent. These are Victoria and James. He gestured to the vampires beside him. I'm Carlisle. This is my family. Emmett and Jasper, Rosalie, Esme and Alice, Edward and Bella. He pointed us out in groups, deliberately not calling attention to individuals. I felt a shock when he said my name. Do you have room for a few more players? Laurent asked sociably. Carlisle matched Laurent's friendly tone. Actually, we were just finishing up, but we'd certainly be interested another time. Are you planning to stay in the area for long? We're headed north, in fact, but we were curious to see who was in the neighborhood. We haven't run into any company in a long time. No, this region is usually empty except for us and the occasional visitor like yourselves. The tense atmosphere had slowly subsided into casual conversation. I guessed that Jasper was using his peculiar gift to control the situation. What's your hunting range? Laurent casually inquired. Carlisle ignored the assumption behind the inquiry. The Olympic range here, up and down the coast ranges on occasion. We keep a permanent residence nearby. There's another permanent settlement like ours up there near Denali. Laurent racked back on his heels slightly. Permanent? How do you manage that? There was honest curiosity in his voice. Why don't you come back to our home with us and we could talk more comfortably, Carlisle invited. It's rather a long story. James and Victoria exchanged a look of surprise at the mention of the word home, but Laurent controlled his expression better. That sounds very interesting and welcome. His smile was genial. We've been on the hunt all the way down from Ontario, and we haven't had a chance to clean up in a while. His eyes moved appreciatively over Carlisle's refined appearance. Please don't take offense, but we'd appreciate it if you'd refrain from hunting in this immediate area. We have to stay inconspicuous, you understand, Carlisle explained. Of course, Laurent added. We certainly won't encroach on your territory. We just ate outside of Seattle anyway, he laughed. A shiver ran up my spine. We'll show you the way if you'd like to run with us. Emmett and Alice, you can go with Edward and Bella to get the Jeep, he casually added. 3 things seemed to happen simultaneously while Carlisle was speaking. My hair ruffled with the light breeze. Edward stiffened, and the second male, James, suddenly whipped his head around, scrutinizing me, his nostrils flaring. A swift rigidity fell on all of them as James lurched one step forward into a crouch. Edward bared his teeth, crouching in defense, a feral snarl ripping from his throat. It was nothing like the playful sounds I'd heard from him this morning. It was the single most menacing thing I had ever heard, and chills ran from the crown of my head to the back of my heels. What's this? Laurent explained in open surprise. Neither James nor Edward relaxed their poses. James feinted slightly to the side, and Edward shifted in response. She's with us. Carlisle's firm rebuff was directed toward James. Laurent seemed to catch my scent less powerfully than James, but awareness now dawned on his face. You brought a snack? He asked. His expression incredulous as he took an involuntary step forward. Edward snarled even more ferociously, harshly, his lip curling high above his glistening bared teeth. Laurent stepped back again. I said she's with us, Carlisle corrected in a hard voice. But she's human, Laurent protested. His words were not at all aggressive, merely astounded. Yes. Emmett was very much in evidence at Carlisle's side, his eyes on James. James straightened out of his crouch, but his eyes never left me, his nostrils still wide. Edward stayed tense like a lion in front of me. When Laurent spoke, his tone was soothing, trying to diffuse the sudden hostility. It appears we have a lot to learn about each other. Indeed, Carlisle's voice was still cool. But we'd like to accept your invitation, his eyes flicked toward me and back to Carlisle. And of course, we will not harm the human girl. We won't hunt in your range, as I said. So...
I don't know if I trust... I think Laurent...
Yeah?
Laurent, the Frenchman.
Yes.
I think he believes...
I can't wait till you see Laurent. You're going to be like, wow, he's badass.
I think he believes what he's saying.
Mm-hmm.
But I think James is the wild card here. And I think... This is a prediction. I don't usually make predictions in the middle of chapters.
I knew that's why I stopped, because I was going to stop reading a big amount of it.
But I get the feeling that James is going to kind of go rogue and try to hunt Bella, even if they bring Bella home right now. Because
Okay.
I think Carlisle's idea was Edward, hey, you guys can go to the Jeep, meaning Edward bring Bella home so she's not there later. And I think James is probably going to try some bullshit.
So here we go. So basically, James looks at Laurent as basically like, what the fuck, right? Because he's like aggravated, basically.
Right.
Because he doesn't think, he's like, that's not fair.
Well, and apparently she smells good as hell.
Yeah, so.
She smells like a filet mignon.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So James is like, that's how James feels.
Yeah, exactly. So then Carlisle is like kind of like measuring this situation and is like, okay, well, we'll show you the way to our house. And then he's like, Jasper, Rosalie, and Esme, you know, they'll still come with him. And Alice and Emmett and Edward are still like going with
Bella.
With Bella, yep. So then Edward's like, let's go. Like he's like, we gotta go, you know?
Right.
The whole time and then it describes how the whole time she'd been rooted in the same place, like just freaked out.
Right. Terrified, as one would be.
Yeah. And then he's like basically dragging her along, like, cause she's just like frozen in fear, you know? Right. And then once they were in the trees, he just like throws her on his back and just like goes, you know? Mm-hmm. But she doesn't close her eyes because she's just like so freaked. Like,
right, she's frozen in fear.
And they reach the Jeep and he just kind of just like throws her into the Jeep, you know, like he's just like going furiously fast. And Alice is already in the front seat too, and Edward like they just like get in, you know, they're just
going
getting away, yeah. And she's just like still like really afraid, but they're just driving like down like where they came up, you know, and it's just really bumpy, and she's just like, oh my god, like can't believe this is happening. I can only imagine what she was like, you know,
right,
if this were real. They get to the main road and like she realizes they're going fast, but they're not going towards Forks, they're going away from it. And she's like, where are we going? Like no one answered, like they didn't answer her, and she's like, damn it, Edward, where are you taking me? Like, she gets mad, right? And Edward's like, well, we have to get you away from here, far away from here now. And she looks at the speedometer and it's like 105 miles an hour or something crazy. And she's like starting to freaking panic. She's like, you need to turn around. You have to take me home. They're basically having like a screaming match. And she's like, no, Edward, no, you can't do this. He says, I have to, Bella. Now, please be quiet. And she's like, I won't. You have to take me back. Like, Charlie will call the FBI. Like, they'll be all over your family. Like, Carlisle, Esme, everyone. Like, they'll all be in trouble. Like, you'll have to leave. Like, you'll have to hide forever. Like, he's all like, you have to calm down. Like, we've been here before. Like, and she's like, you're not ruining this over me. Like, this is, like, you're not ruining, like, your permanence over this, you know. Then all of a sudden Alice is like, okay, Edward, pull over. And he was like kind of pissed, and she's like, no, like we really have to talk this through, because she could probably see that the like future is shifting, right? And he's like screaming, he's like, you don't understand, like we have to go. And he says, he's a tracker, Alice, did you see that? He's a tracker. I felt Emmett stiffen next to me, and I wondered at his reaction to the word. It meant something more to the three of them than it did to me. I wanted to understand, but there was no opening for me to ask. Pull over, Edward. Alice's tone was reasonable, but there was a ring of authority in it I'd never heard before. The speedometer inched past 120. Do it, Edward. Listen to me, Alice. I saw his mind. Tracking is his passion, his obsession, and he wants her, Alice, her specifically. He begins the hunt tonight. He doesn't know where. He interrupted her. How long do you think it will take him to cross her scent in town? His plan was already set before the words were out of Laurent's mouth. I gasped, knowing where my scent would lead. Charlie, you can't leave him there. You can't leave him. So she's like freaking out, right?
Because that means Charlie.
Right.
Die.
And Alice is like, she's right. Let's just look at our options for a minute, Alex coaxed. The car slowed again, more noticeably, and then suddenly we screeched to a stop on the shoulder of the highway. I flew against the harness and then slammed back into the seat. There are no options, Edward hissed. I'm not leaving Charlie, I yelled. He ignored me completely. We have to take her back, Emmett finally spoke. No, Edward was absolute. He's no match for us, Edward. He won't be able to touch her. He'll wait. Emmett smiled. I can wait too. Because Emmett's like, oh my God, I just want to hunt him down.
Emmett wants to whoop his ass.
You didn't understand. Once he commits to a hunt, he's unshakable. We'd have to kill him. Emmett didn't seem upset by the idea. That's an option. And the female, she's with him. If it turns into a fight, the leader will go with them too. There are enough of us. There's another option, Alice said quietly. Edward turned on her in his fury, his voice a blistering snarl. There is no other option. So he must be seeing something in her mind that she's seeing. And he's like, no. Emmett and I both stared at him in shock, but Alice seemed unsurprised. The silence lasted for a long minute as Edward and Alice stared each other down. I broke it. Does anyone want to hear my plan? No, Edward growled. Alice glared at him, finally provoked. Listen, I pleaded. You take me back. No, he interrupted. I glared at him and continued. You take me back. I tell my dad I want to go home to Phoenix. I pack my bags. We wait till this tracker is watching, and then we run. He'll follow us and leave Charlie alone. Charlie won't call the FBI on your family. Then you could take me to any damned place you want. So it's like...
Not a bad plan.
Not a bad plan.
Not a bad plan.
Not a bad plan. They stared at me, stunned. It's not a bad idea, really. Emmett's surprise was definitely an insult. It might work, and we simply can't leave her father unprotected. You know that, Alice said. Everyone looked at Edward. It's too dangerous. I don't want him within 100 miles of her. Emmett was supremely confident. Edward, he's not getting through us. Alice thought for a minute. I don't see him attacking. He'll try to wait for us to leave her alone. It won't take long for him to realize that's not going to happen. I demand that you take me home. I tried to sound firm. Please, I said in a much smaller voice. He didn't look up. When he spoke, his voice sounded worn. You're leaving tonight, whether the tracker sees or not. You tell Charlie that you can't stand another minute in Forks. Tell him whatever story works. Pack the first things your hands touch and then get in your truck. I don't care what he says to you. You have 15 minutes. Do you hear me? 15 minutes from the time you cross the doorstep. So this is getting real crazy. Real intense.
Real intense, real fast.
Yeah. Did you even expect any of it? I mean, you did to an extent, but...
I knew that James was going to come forward regardless.
Yeah.
I didn't know that they were going to be as on...
Like craziness.
Well, they were going to be as attuned to that, but it makes sense because Edward can read minds.
Mm-hmm.
So.
They're just like kind of like sitting there in silence and just like waiting. And then Edward's like, hey, this is how it's going to happen. When we get to the house, if the tracker is not there, I will walk her to the door. Then she has 15 minutes. He glared at me in the rearview mirror. Emmett, you take the outside of the house. Alice, you get the truck. I'll be inside as long as she is. After she's out, you two can take the Jeep home and tell Carlisle. And then Emmett's like, no way, I'm with you. And he's like, think it through, Emmett. I don't know how long I'll be gone. Until we know how far this is going to go, I'm with you. So, like, Edward's thinking, like, he's going to run off with
He's probably wants to go to Alaska where his homies are.
Yeah, or, like, yeah, go somewhere really far. And they're like, he's like, no, like, I want to be with you too, you know? So then basically Edward's like, if the tracker is there, we keep driving. And we're going to make it there before him, Alice said confidently. So she's like, I already know. Because I'm a badass bitch and I already know. So then he seemed like Edward accepts that. Whatever his original problem with Alice was, he didn't doubt her now. She said so things changed in her mind. What are we going to do with the Jeep? She asked. His voice had a hard edge. You're driving it home. No, I'm not, she said calmly. The unintelligible stream of profanity started again. We can't all fit in my truck, I whispered. Edward didn't appear to hear me. I think you should let me go alone, I said even more quietly. He heard that. Bella, please just do this my way, just this once, he said between clenched teeth. Listen, Charlie's not an imbecile, I protested. If you're not in town tomorrow, he's going to get suspicious. That's irrelevant. We'll make sure he's safe and that's all that matters. Then what about this tracker? He saw the way you acted tonight. He's going to think you're with me wherever you are. Emmett looked at me, insultingly surprised again. Edward, listen to her, he urged. I think she's right. Yes, she is, Alice agreed. I can't do that. Edward's voice was icy. Emmett should stay too, I continued. he definitely got an eyeful of Emmett. What? Emmett turned on me. You'll get a better crack at him if you stay, Alice agreed. So basically, like, she's like, I need to go far alone is what her plan was. And like everyone needs to stay. But Edward's like, what? You think I should let her go alone? Alice says, of course not, Alice said. Jasper and I will take her. So now the plan has evolved to Alice and Jasper taking her far away and Edward and Emmett and the others staying.
Right.
So it looks less bad and the tracker knows less of what the plan will be.
Because if Edward's gone, he's gonna be like, all right, he's with that girl.
Yep. And then once again, Edward says, I can't do that. But this time there was a trace of defeat in his voice. The logic was working on him. I tried to be persuasive. Hang out here for a week. I saw his expression in the mirror and amended. A few days. Let Charlie see you haven't kidnapped me and lead this James on a wild goose chase. Make sure he's completely off my trail. Then come and meet me. Take a roundabout route, of course, and then Jasper and Alice can go home. I could see him beginning to consider it. Meet you where? Phoenix, of course. No, he'll hear that's where you're going, he said impatiently. And you'll make it look like that's a ruse, obviously. He'll know that we'll know that he's listening. He'll never believe I'm actually going where I say I'm going. So
I don't know if I follow that one, but
so basically, like
I get what she's saying. I just don't think that.
He's gonna make it known while they're in the house talking about her going back to Phoenix that it's all a ruse to begin with, and that they're not actually going to Phoenix, so that he won't track her there.
Right.
She's diabolical, Emmett chuckled. And if that doesn't work, there are several million people in Phoenix, I informed him. It's not that hard to find a phone book. I won't go home. Oh, he inquired, a dangerous note in his voice. I'm quite old enough to get my own place. Edward will be with her, Alice reminded him. What are you going to do in Phoenix? He asked her scathingly. Stay indoors. I kind of like it. Emmett was thinking about cornering James, no doubt. So this is like the formulation of the plan, right?
Right.
Emmett's kind of agreeing and is like, look, if we try to take him down while she's still around, there's more of a chance that she's going to get hurt. Like, we have to get her away first, basically. And that's kind of, Emmett's like, but if we get him alone, like, oh, baby, we're going to rip him up, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Jeep they're like going towards town now, and she's like freaked out. Like super freaked out. And she's like trying to like hype herself up into like what she's gonna have to do, right? Edward says, Bella. His voice was very soft. Alice and Emmett looked out their windows. If you let anything happen to yourself, anything at all, I'm holding you personally responsible. Do you understand that? Yes, I gulped. He turned to Alice. Can Jasper handle this? Give him some credit, Edward. He's been doing very, very well, all things considered. Can you handle this? He asked. And graceful little Alice pulled back her lips in a horrific grimace and let loose with a guttural snarl that had me cowering against the seat in terror. Edward smiled at her. But keep your opinions to yourself, he muttered suddenly. And that's the end of the chapter.
Oh, wow. Okay. Wow. So we have a plan to get Bella out of Dodge. I don't know that this is gonna. I feel like this is like a setup, and then things aren't gonna go how they predict. I don't know what's gonna happen.
I love how this is still like a cliffhanger, and this was a relatively short chapter.
Yeah.
Or I just read it really fast.
No. It was good. It was good. I think.
This was the resolution people needed.
Yeah, I think
resolution question mark.
I'm excited to see what happens next, but I don't think this plan is gonna go as like. There's no way the way the book goes is Bella goes to Arizona with Alice and Jasper. She waits a few days. Edward shows up. They go home, and that's the book. Like, there's no way that's what happens.
Well, there are 4 books though. So what if it did?
And that's a pretty, even though it's a first part of a series, that'd be a pretty weird, lame ending. To the book. So, and we have.
Let's see.
That was chapter 18.
So
we
this
have
is
6 chapters left.
Yeah, we have 19, 20, 21, 22, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24 in the epilogue. So we technically have 7.
Yeah. So
if we include the epilogue, which is kind of long. So
that seems like a lot of
a lot of time.
A lot of time for just we went the Phoenix.
Well, this whole chapter was basically a plan.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But I don't know. We'll see what happens. Tara?
I'm very excited because I feel like when we first started reading this book, you didn't think that it was going to go like this. Exactly.
I mean, I obviously didn't know exactly what was going to happen, but I knew there was a conflict eventually. It took a while to get there, honestly.
Oh yeah, very.
I'm not against that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like from now on, like they've set up the world. It's not like it's this crazy like mythical world that they have to do more setup on.
Right.
From now on, I think it's going to be just story beats as opposed to, hey, this is I'm Bella and I'm quirky, you know. So.
Yeah. I was just gonna say like there's still so much like we still learn about things, but like different things.
Well, right. Yeah. No. There's no way it's gonna be as much setup as it was at the beginning of this book.
Mm-hmm. It's just I'm just excited because I feel like when I first read this book, I wasn't thinking like, oh my gosh, like they're gonna run into other vampires and that vampire's gonna want to track her and kill her. Like I thought there was gonna be something, I don't know, different, but I think, I don't know, when I'm reading it like this, it's like more exciting to me because when I think about the movie, I'm like, And not like that bad, but like, I think
Tara hates Twilight, official.
No, I just think that like this makes it seem so much more, I don't know, maybe people won't agree. I just feel like this makes it seem like so much more dangerous. And they don't do a bad job of portraying how dangerous it is because the situations are a lot similar in the movie, obviously, because they're trying to act out what's in the book. But it's just like such a meme now, I feel like. Maybe I'm wrong.
Twilight's become a meme, that's
But I feel like that whole first movie especially is like the biggest of the memes.
The meme lord, if you will.
Yeah.
The meme lord of the castle.
So then when I think to like what's coming up, I'm like, is it a meme or is it actually scary? Because when I read this, I'm like, oh, like it is actually kind of scary.
Well, I guess we'll have to wait and see when we watch the movie how I feel.
I know. I don't know what you'll think. I feel like you will make fun of all the people so hard. Like
probably.
Especially like the people in high school, like the simp gang. Especially because the simp gang is different than in the book. Like they portray the simp gang different in the movie.
Well, I don't think we should go too into how the movies are going to be right now because we're so far away from that.
Oh, I know, but I'm just saying it's not that different. But I'm just saying, like, I think you'll think that some of those people are really funny.
I already do think they're funny.
I know.
Simp Chess Club Eric.
Yeah.
Best boy.
Best boy.
Simp Tyler. Car Crash Tyler. Simp Mike. Anyway, Tara, is there anything else you want to say about Chapter 18, The Hunt?
I don't think so.
I don't have anything else either. So thank you, Tara, so much for coaching me this week.
You're welcome.
We will see you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.